Do you remember that scene at the beginning of Bambi, wonderful iconic film, where Thumper says, he struggles to say it, if you can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. And he's quite right. And whoever taught him that is quite right. And I think that's the point we've got to. And I hope this will become clear. I'm not trying to silence anybody specifically. Well, I am. I'm trying to silence those people who are not kind, and those people who think they have a voice, who are not kind, and those people who think that they deserve to be heard, who are not kind. And there are people in our society who have positions of authority, who need to be challenged and ridiculed and satirized and called out. And I do that. And there are also those people who need to be told that they've actually said enough. And I do that too. And I'm going to do it very precisely now. But I want you to remember that phrase from Bambi. I've not been doing YouTube for very long, quite frankly. I discovered YouTube about 15 years ago. I added a few things, and oddly, they've been quite successful. More recently, I've taken to doing videos every day, and I've only just started working out how to hide comments and how to suppress comments. And I must say, I've been very reluctant to do so, because I think simply the act of leaving a comment, whether it's unpleasant or whether it disagrees with me, at least stimulates debate and at least promotes the opportunity for people who disagree to add their comments. So I've tended to heart everything, and I've tended to let that be. At least by hearting something, I've indicated that I've read it. And if it's particularly nasty, then I've tended to make a comment, or if it's particularly interesting, I've tended to make a comment generally in a further YouTube video. But there are some comments which are really unpleasant and really personal, and sometimes they've attacked people who've come on my channel, and sometimes they've attacked groups, and I'm quite pleased to have finally discovered how to deal with this. I don't think I deal with it well, and I would still prefer to go through all the comments and just heart them. But if people are going to be so abusive, then I think the hiding or the banning is the way forward. It's a shame that YouTube doesn't allow for other options, and that YouTube celebrates this. This is the person you've most hearted. What complete rubbish. This is just somebody who happens to have looked at a lot of my videos. So today I thought I'd have a look at Stephen Fry, who's also entered into the trans debate. Stephen Fry is somebody I knew years ago, and we had a correspondence. I think he was in Crete writing the series with Rowan Atkinson, and I was in Greece teaching and having a very odd time, and then becoming a goat herder. And before that, I did a play that he'd written, and we met. And I remember also he brought some chums along, one of whom was Ben Elton, I think. So I have quite a fondness for Stephen, and I think what he says is always of value and pertinent. And as I say, we go back a long way. So it would be, my bias is clearly towards Stephen Fry. So I apologise for that. Stephen Fry, polymath, national treasure, one of the great modern advocates of civility. He's turned his voice, formerly the velvet narration of Harry Potter, to a quieter but much more disquieting purpose, to say that JK Rowling has become, in his words, a lost cause. And I think that's rather sad, but true. And Fry's rebuke was not impulsive, not particularly theatrical. For years he maintained a diplomatic neutrality, refusing to jettison either Rowling or her trans friends, and or his trans friends, and he hoped, in his words, for effectiveness rather than righteousness. But now he says she seems to have been radicalised by the turfs and by the vitriol hurled at her, and that word radicalised is not casually chosen. It evokes ideological entrenchment, tribalism, and a departure from generous thought. And in a time of social polarisation, Fry's decision to speak out is no minor matter. He's not a man drawn to culture war skirmishes. He is, if anything, a bridge builder. But when the culture of nastiness eclipses the culture of compassion, silence becomes complicity. And he's right to speak out. And his language, he talks about mocking, contemptuous, inflammatory. These are not terms of debate. They are accusations of tone. And for the essence of Fry's complaint, he's not talking about what Rowling believes, though he profoundly disagrees, and I agree, but how she expresses it. Cigar in hand, glass raised, celebrating a court ruling like a general after a victory. It's smug, it's savage, and it's definitely far from savvy. It's snide. And this is not the behaviour of someone defending the vulnerable. It's the performance of a culture warrior revelling in division. And here lies the heart of the matter. Too much of this debate has been constructed as a zero-sum game. Women versus trans people, and protection for one must mean peril for the other. But Fry, quite rightly, rejects this. It's not either or, it's both and. Women deserve safe spaces. Trans people deserve recognition and dignity. We are not at war with ourselves unless we choose to be. The trans community in Britain is tiny, about 0.5% of the population, but the ferocity of the attacks on it is wildly disproportionate. If we, a modern democracy, cannot accommodate such a small and vulnerable group without spiralling into moral panic, then truly we are the lesser society. And Fry's sadness is palpable, and I hope I share it. He speaks of Rowling's former charm, her humour, her intelligence, but also how something changed. This thing happened, he says, and now she engages with the world differently. She is no longer challenges with wit, she scorns. She no longer debates, she derides. It's not the mark of a philosopher or a public thinker, but a zealot with a following. And maybe the problem is that she's got nothing creative to do, that she's lost that creative spirit. No, I thought her stories were great. I thought her writing was second-rate. And I haven't changed that opinion at all. Boy George called her a bored, rich bully. Fry, with more gravitas, calls her radicalised. But both are pointing to the same corrosion, the triumph of bitterness over betterment. And you have to ask, what are we fighting for, if not the right to live without mockery, if not the duty to protect the smallest, the weakest, the most exposed? Sir Stephen Fry, in calling out Rowling's dissent, is not betraying her legacy. He's trying to save ours, and he is absolutely right to do so. We can live without Rowling. She's given us Harry Potter. It doesn't look likely that she's going to give us anything else of worth. Fine. She's done her job. And we don't need to listen to her rubbish any longer. Ultimately, if she's got nothing positive to say, if she's got nothing that enriches our society, then we don't need to listen to her chirping, her twerping, her tweeting. We don't need to listen to her. And we need to save what is good in our society. And we need to do it ourselves, because the government isn't doing it for us. We are fighting to help the weaker, to give people who are going through a vulnerable transition, to give them dignity and space. Ultimately, human rights are not about defending abstractions, they're about helping people. And when helping becomes unfashionable, when compassion is dismissed as capitulation, then we need to remind ourselves that kindness is not a weakness. Kindness is the mark of our civilization. And if we can't be kind, and if we can't be generous, and if we can't be good-mannered, then we need to shut up. And JK Rowling, frankly, needs to shut up. It's time for her to be silent.